Hi, today I'm going to talk about how to overcome fear in our everyday life. Everybody, including myself, has fear. Sometimes we just don't know where it comes from. For example, when we are confronting the deadly disease, coronavirus, first of all, WTO, World Health Organization hesitated to announce that it's international problem. It's a local problem, right? But later, several days later, the outbreak grew so fast, resulting in many people dying and many got infections. World Health Organization announced that it's international problem and require protection and care and take personal care for everybody. I remember the president of the World Health Organization announced in one press conference online saying that it's now becomes a very big problem. We don't know the reason. We don't know the infections type. We don't know where it's coming from. We can't say it's coming from the animals or coming from any laboratory, but we are still researching. And he was saying that, I was listening to him so carefully, he was saying that the outbreak happened, when it happened, the price of mask increased 20 times. So before it was about $1, now $20 per box. And the needs for the mask increased 200 times. That's alarming, right? That really affects the economic welfare of the world. What he was mentioning, that he didn't refer to a particular country, but he referring to the whole world, anywhere in the world. So it really affects the livelihood of everyone. And other commodities begin to shift. Price got elevated. And what I want to say here is that every one of us should not be too fearful. The reason we are here today is that we know that one day nobody's gonna be here forever, right? One day we will go, but we will leave our generation. We would like to leave our generation, our next generation, safe, right? So, in the time of emotional conflict, people have fears. We trying to find ways to eliminate those fears, so we can refocus ourselves on tackling and combating the viruses. And now we see the value of having scientists on board. Scientists are very important in order to help find the antivirus and also find the treatment for the disease. Today my topic is more about fear, right? So I put on my Facebook page this morning, I said, is fear a price or a commodity, right? Let me pick up this too. Is fear a price or a commodity? Fear is not a price. But if we have fear, then we say fear is a price. And fear is a price because the mask is only $1, but we pay 20. So $1 is the actual normal price that we used to buy, and the $19 is the price that there's a price of fear, right? Because we because we fear, we are willing to pay the other $19 just to get a box of a mask, because we sometimes feel that without a mask we will die, we will get infectious and die. A couple of days ago, I listened to experts from America, two experts. Right? I also shared this video on my Facebook. They were mentioning about how wearing mask is not as important as wearing mask properly. So even if you know how to buy mask, buy a lot of masks, but if you do not know how to wear it properly, you still get the chance of getting infection. So, but we see a lot of people don't wear masks, right? And there are many places that people really don't need masks at all, right? I know that in some governments, I heard that in Thailand they adopt a measure where every family only can buy a reasonable amount of masks, just enough for the family, but can't buy more, right? Yeah, and doing that, the government's trying to control the number of masks people are buying, and by doing so, not each family can possess too many masks, because if each family possesses too many masks, there will be mask shortage, and when there is mask shortage, the price will go up automatically, right? And I also would like to talk about fear that people use it as a commodity. If we are fearful, because fear is emotion, right? It's a feeling. If we are fearful, then we tend to treat it, or we tend to let others treat it as commodity. So commodity is like goods that people trade, right, from one person to another. We have seen fake news, a lot of fake news that trying to trade off the fear. Right? So because when people have fear, by reading their news, they can have profits, right? Because the more people read, the more people get fear, they will read more, and they share more, they like more, and it becomes a visibility. It will be visible by others, people online. So the more people read their news, they can earn more money from advertising, right? Company putting their names, their products on their news, so they make money. So a lot of fake news. Our leaders sometimes try to warn fake news, because fake news are so disadvantageous. And another reason that we have fears, it concerns with what we do. If we are an analytical person, before we believe in something, we would like to cross-check, right? Some references. Of course, sometimes we want to discuss with our friends, our siblings, to find the truth, what they have learned on their sides. But if our siblings or our friends, they already possess fears, they tend to advise us to take a fear as a leader, right? So when we let the fear lead us, it's like because we are led by the fear, right? So we are the follower. So it will affect our judgment, whether a particular news is correct or not. This morning when I woke up at 5 o'clock, because I normally wake up at 5 o'clock to start exercise and something like that, and it's my routine. I learned from somebody's Facebook page. He was sharing a news, saying that China is in the process of obtaining order to kill 20,000 people. 20,000 people is a lot. And the reason for killing 20,000 people is because they want to the whole 1 billion Chinese people to be safe. So killing a few random number of people will save the rest of China and possibly people in other countries. That's not true, right? That's not true. Don't believe such news. I was so doubtful. No humanities in these days, would like to kill their own citizen in the wake of crisis like this. And so what I did was I went to different websites and I searched, and I found out that I went to about 5 websites. First I went to BBC website. I found nothing about 20,000 people, that will die because of they got some infections. Right? That's unfair, right? If it really has to happen. So I was laughing. So I went to CNN website. I didn't find any news either. So nothing's there. I kept searching and I found that this information was taken from an African website. So I was wondering what that African website was, and I further my search to Google, and I found one website that give commentary to every website, to many websites that release fake news, and it mentioned this website, that released the information about 20,000 people that will be dying, when the order is obtained from the court of China. So it say this African website is normally providing fake news. Several years ago, it provided something about a king's family in one country that got drowned in the water and nobody could find the bodies and things like that. But later, nothing happened. It cited many others news, not real, that was published by these websites. So fear in this case is commodity, right? Commodity that people trade because they know they know that people are afraid. They are fearful. So they use the fears of the people to trade, so they can have economic advantage from this spread of fear. Remember that if we are people that are vulnerable to fears, that means we are vulnerable to other things also, right? We're vulnerable to economic conditions, to suffer from being these what we call the victims of others, when others take advantage of our fear conditions, and they can profit economically from us. Also, I would like to also share a story. I have a story to share with you. There was when I was young, first starting from my story, when I was young, I had a big jar in front of my house. Big jar can put about 200 liters or something of water, and I normally use this water to wash the dishes, the plates. It was put in front of my house, and one day I was so shocked when I woke up and I went to the jar and I saw two rats. They are big about this size. 2 rats. They were swimming endlessly. In fact, they were not swimming. They were like they were like trying to escape from the drowning, right? So the rats by nature, they don't usually, they can't swim, right? They can't swim. At least they can't swim as far as the fish. So they're not the animals that live in the water, right? So they were like very like fearful, right? So fearful, running in the water, up and down, up and down. And I was noticing these two rats, two big rats with long tails. I couldn't imagine that after looking at it for 2 minutes, for about 2 minutes, they began to swim slower, to run slower because they're almost out of breath, right? And then I didn't have anything. I was panicked too. So I used my hand to catch the tail of the rat and then throw it to the ground. So it's gone. And I caught another one from the jar also. I didn't notice that somebody at the back was looking at me. When I finished that, I went back to the house, and then one of my neighbors, he saw me and he was telling his mom, and I was hearing, he was telling, that brother was so courageous, he catch the big mouse by his own hand, his own hand, not using anything, and throw it, so courageous. He was not afraid of the bite. Okay, so, but that's not the essence that I want to share. I want to share is that the rats that are hopeless cannot stay longer in the water, right? They are panicked, they have so much fear, they are hopeless, so they can't tolerate longer. They become weak so easily. And it's that time that I could catch these two rats by my own hands, even though they were swimming in the jar, in the big jar, see? In the big jars. Yeah. So there's something I think I have another story to tell you. I had a story about managing fear and about working to sort out our fears. There was an experiment, a research put a rat into a jar. I was not doing the experiment. I was, in my case that I will describe, it's a different thing. I'm not an expert, but this time the expert put a mouse in the jar. So they want to know how long the mouse could live in the jar, So it's a dark jar. They don't give any light. Just no light at all. It's in the darkness. It just covers something which the mouse cannot see. So they want to know how much would that mouse give up and decide to get drowned. How much time, the mouse would give up afterwards. So in that experiment, the mouse gave it up to get drowned, to get itself drowned after 3 minutes. After only 3 minutes, get drowned. In the same experiment, now this time the researchers put another mouse into the jar, but this time he decided to give a light as to give a light to show the way to the mouse. So the mouse that was seeing the light could swim and swim and swim for 36 hours. 36 hours, huh? 3 days. Oh, not 3 days. more than one day, right? 36 hours. 36 hours before it decide to get drowned. So it's about 700 times longer, 700 times longer than the first mouse. So the second mouse can live 700 times longer than the first mouse, which only could tolerate only 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So the story went like that. So when we give hope to the mouse, because the mouse receive hope, right? The light give it the hope. It could live longer. It could live longer. And talking about us humans, do you know how long we could live without the food? As a person, we could live without the food for 40 days. We could live without the food for 40 days, okay, before we die. But without oxygen, we can live only 4 hours. 4 hours without oxygen. We can live 4 hours without oxygen, right? And yeah, that's it. And 4 days without water. 4 days, you can live 4 days without water. So 40 days without food, 4 days without water, and 4 hours without air. See? So we can live longer than a mouse. We can live longer. But because we are of different natures, right? So, but if we are given hope, hope. Imagine if I'm an infectious corona sick person. If I'm given hope, I will struggle. I will be able to live longer, right? I have hope, But if I have fear, if I'm a sick person, very sick, and I have fear, how much can I live? Like the rats, right? The rat that was overwhelmed with so much fear, like put in the dark and let it swim. It could live only, 700 times less than the rat that have hope, who can live up to 36 hours, 700 times longer than the first rat. The first rat could only live for 3 minutes. So that's different between when we have fear and we don't have fear. That is the difference between when we have hope and when we don't have hope. Sometimes I want to be precise. I want to be passionate. I want people to believe, as I believe, that if we have hope, we will find something and we can extend our age. We can extend our expertise. We can extend our aspiration. Now, at the end, I want to suggest that in order to overcome fear, we have to understand that fear is our feeling only. It doesn't produce any consequence yet, but it's coming from us. It's coming from us. For now, we should not wait for somebody to help us reduce our fear, but we should have our own ways to tackle the fears. If we are able to think logically, reasonably, then the fear would be slowly diminished Everybody could have fear. We are affected by fear. But when fears come to your mind, stop for a minute, take a long breath, think back over and over, and then we will know that fear is only our feeling. But if we relax for a short while but we still have fear, we need to delay longer before we do any judgment. Put ourselves in a good state. Imagine when we were not having fear. How did we decide something? And now, when we are having fear, we should be able to relax enough, and be a curious person, right? Like a child that likes to ask hundreds of questions a day. So we ask, why is this that? Why is it this? What can we do different? Is there any other ways to do something? So keep questioning. Don't believe something so rush. Because when we are rushed, we tend to make wrong judgments. In our body, we have two sources of advisors. In our mind, we also have two sources of advisors. One is we call the fear advisors. One is the courageous advisor. When we ask the fear advisor will say, don't do anything. Nothing can happen. We're gonna be damaged. Don't get out. We have to lose our time. See, so fear advisors only study the fear when he was young. So when he becomes the expert of the fears, what he can advise us is only fears. He injects us with the fears. He gives us a rubber sword. Rubber sword is a non-courageous sword, right? It's a fear sword. Can't fight anything, can't challenge anything with anybody, can't join any war. But when we relax, we put ourselves in a stable state, and then we can call the courageous advisor and ask him, what can we do in the wake of any problem, of a daily problem? Yeah, I was giving the general example about Corona as a fear factor for everybody, but my topic today is about general fear that people are confronting daily. So in this case, the courageous advisor, because he studied how to be courageous from young age, right? And he learned about courageous. He would advise us, stand up, walk, join with others, because one person cannot do everything, cannot do all things. Join with others. Find ways to fight your fear. Find ways to fight the community fear. Find way to fight the global fear. Fear has no place in us if we know how to tackle it. Fear is a shadow. It's our shadow if we don't know how to tackle it. Do not fear anything, but fear yourself.